I get it when you're scrolling through a sea of TV ads. It feels like you're about to drop a small fortune on a screen that might end up looking like a paper-thin billboard in the corner of your living room. You're wondering if you really need that extra splash of color, if the smart stuff will actually make movie night easier, or if you'll spend months tweaking settings just to get rid of a little glare. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. So before you click Add to Cart, let's walk through what the Samsung 65-inch class OLED S95F actually does in a typical home setup, where it shines, and where it might leave you reaching for the remote a bit too often. First off, the biggest thing that separates this model from a regular LED panel is the OLED panel itself. Because each pixel lights up on its own, you get those inky blacks and punchy colors that a lot of reviewers call cinema grade. In practice, that means when you dim the lights for a Netflix binge, the dark scenes in a thriller don't turn into a washed-out gray. I tried it with a classic film noir and the shadows kept their depth, which made the whole experience feel less like a TV and more like a mini theater. If you spend a lot of time watching movies, series with high contrast grading, or even gaming titles that push for HDR, that pixel-level control is where the value really starts to show up. But the OLED panel also brings a hidden trade-off. It's more reflective than a matte-coated LED. Samsung calls it glare-free, and they've added an anti-reflective coating that does a decent job in most rooms. But if your living room gets direct sunlight all afternoon, you'll notice a faint sheen. I positioned the TV on a wall opposite a large window, and after a few minutes, the glare was noticeable enough that I had to pull the curtains. For a sunlit family space, you might still want a wall mount that lets you tilt the screen or consider blackout shades. That's a practical weakness that you don't see on the spec sheet, but can affect daily enjoyment. The brain of the TV is the NQ4 AI Gen3 Processor. In layman's terms, it's the part that decides how to upscale lower-resolution content, manage motion, and balance sound. In my testing, the upscaling was subtle but noticeable. A 1080p YouTube video looked sharper, and the colors didn't look oversaturated. The Motion Xcelerator 164 Hz helped keep fast-moving sports footage from turning into a blur of colors. I watched a football match, and the motion felt smooth without the soap opera effect that some high-refresh displays introduce. If you're a sports fan who hates missing a quick pass, this is a genuine plus. Audio is another area where the bundle tries to stand out. The TV ships with Dolby Atmos support, which is impressive for a thin panel. In a small apartment, I placed the TV on a low stand and left the built-in speakers on. The dialogue stayed clear, and the occasional overhead sound like a helicopter in an action movie actually seemed to come from above, even though I didn't have a separate soundbar. That said, the built-in system still can't compete with a dedicated speaker setup in a larger room. If you have a home theater rig, you'll likely pair this TV with a soundbar or AV receiver. If you're counting on the TV alone, you'll get decent but not spectacular immersion. One feature that often goes unnoticed until you need it is the rapid charge USB-C port on the back. It's not a full-blown charging station, but it does let you top up a phone or tablet while you're watching without a separate charger cluttering the area. I plugged my phone in while scrolling social media during a commercial break, and it reached a decent charge in under 10 minutes. For anyone who likes to keep a device handy on the couch, that small convenience can shave off a few minutes of fiddling with cords. Now let's talk about who should actually consider spending on this 65-inch OLED. If you're a cinephile, a serious gamer, or someone who watches a lot of high dynamic range content, the picture quality alone justifies the premium. The deep blacks, vibrant colors, and smooth motion give you a viewing experience that's hard to match on a conventional LED. The AI processor's upscaling also means you'll get the most out of older content, which is a nice bonus if your library is a mix of 4K and older material. On the other side, if your primary use is casual TV watching news, talk shows, or daytime sitcoms, and you're not particular about HDR nuances, you might be overpaying. A good mid-range LED or QLED can handle those tasks just fine, and you'll avoid the potential glare issue in bright rooms. Also, if you're on a tight budget, the price bump for the OLED panel might be better allocated to a larger sound system, or a better streaming device, both of which can noticeably improve the overall experience.